Imagine walking through a peaceful forest. The sound of birds, the gentle breeze through the leaves, the sunlight filtering through the trees. Suddenly, a branch snaps in front of you. Your heart races, your muscles tense, and your breathing quickens. This is your body responding to danger, preparing to fight or flee. This is stress in its purest form, acute stress. Now imagine living with that sensation all the time. No branch breaking, no immediate danger. Just constant pressure, tension that never fades. This is chronic stress, and believe me, it affects your brain in profound ways. Today, we're going to explore how stress impacts the brain, understand the difference between acute and chronic stress, and discover what we can do to protect our minds from this overload that gradually erodes our mental and emotional balance.
What is stress?
Stress is the body's natural response to any kind of demand or threat. It exists to protect us, to prepare us to face challenges. When we perceive danger, whether real or imagined, the body goes into alert mode, releasing hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which prepare us to react quickly. This evolutionary response was essential for our ancestors, who needed to be alert to predators and other constant dangers. Today, however, the predators are different. Instead of lions and tigers, we face work deadlines, bills to pay, endless emails, and the constant demand for more productivity. The problem? Our body continues to react the same way. And when this response becomes chronic, the impact on the brain is devastating.
Acute stress. The temporary alert.
Acute stress is the form of stress that we all experience from time to time. It happens when we encounter an immediate situation that requires a quick response, an important exam, a work presentation, an emergency situation. When acute stress is triggered, the brain releases hormones that increase our energy and focus. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and rational thinking, connects with the limbic system, where intense emotions are generated. All of this is to ensure that we can react as efficiently as possible. This response can be helpful. It gives us a boost of adrenaline, helps us focus and concentrate better. But acute stress is temporary. When the situation passes, our body returns to normal. The danger arises when this response is triggered repeatedly, without rest.
Chronic stress. When the alert never turns off.
Chronic stress, on the other hand, occurs when we are constantly under pressure. It doesn't arise from a short-term situation, but from persistent problems. It can be caused by a toxic work environment, financial difficulties, relationship problems, or even how we handle daily challenges. The problem with chronic stress is that it doesn't allow the body and brain to recover. The nervous system remains activated and stress hormones continue to be released. This has a direct impact on the brain, especially in areas critical for memory, learning, and emotional control.
How stress affects the brain.
Have you ever wondered why it's so hard to concentrate when you're stressed? Or why it feels like your brain is in a fog when you're overwhelmed? This happens because stress affects several regions of the brain, and its effects can be devastating.
Hippocampus, the guardian of memory.
The hippocampus is the part of the brain responsible for forming and retrieving memories. It is particularly sensitive to cortisol, the primary stress hormone. When we are exposed to chronic stress, cortisol levels increase, and this begins to affect the hippocampus. Prolonged exposure to cortisol can shrink the hippocampus, impairing our ability to create new memories and access old information. This explains why, during periods of intense stress, many people experience memory lapses and difficulty recalling simple details.
Prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center.
The prefrontal cortex is the region of the brain responsible for rational thinking, planning, and decision-making. It is also critical for controlling our impulses and emotions. Under chronic stress, this area of the brain begins to function ineffectively. When stress becomes chronic, the prefrontal cortex ability to make rational decisions is impaired. This can cause us to overreact, make impulsive decisions, or feel paralyzed when faced with important choices. Furthermore, chronic stress can make it harder to control emotions, leading to emotional outbursts, anxiety, and even depression.
Amygdala, the center of fear and anxiety.
The amygdala is the part of the brain that deals with intense emotions like fear and anger. Under acute stress, it is activated to help us respond to immediate threats. However, with chronic stress, the amygdala becomes hyperactive, and the brain starts perceiving threats everywhere, even when they don't exist. This leads to increased anxiety and can result in panic disorders and phobias. Additionally, the amygdala's hyperactivity can affect our immune system, making us more vulnerable to illness.
The difference between acute and chronic stress.
Now that we understand how stress affects the brain, it's important to distinguish between acute and chronic stress. Acute stress, as we've seen, is temporary. It occurs in specific situations and disappears when the stressful event is over. Although it can be uncomfortable, acute stress is a natural and necessary response. Without it, we wouldn't be able to react quickly to danger. Chronic stress, on the other hand, is harmful. When the body and brain are exposed to long periods of stress without a chance to recover, the effects accumulate. Chronic stress can lead to serious mental and physical health problems, such as depression, heart disease, high blood pressure, and a weakened immune system.
Signs that stress is affecting your brain.
How do you know if stress is affecting your brain? Here are some common signs. Difficulty concentrating. If you feel like your mind is constantly scattered or it's hard to focus on a task, it may be a sign that stress is affecting your prefrontal cortex. Memory problems. If you are forgetting things more often than usual or have trouble recalling important details, your hippocampus may be affected by stress. Irritability and emotional outbursts. Chronic stress can affect your ability to control your emotions, leading to exaggerated reactions or sudden mood swings. Constant anxiety. If you feel like you're always on edge, as if you're about to panic at any moment, your amygdala may be hyperactive due to chronic stress. Sleep problems. Chronic stress interferes with sleep patterns, leading to insomnia or poor quality sleep, which in turn worsens the effects of stress on the brain.
How to protect your brain from chronic stress.
Now that we understand the dangers of chronic stress, it's crucial to discuss ways to protect the brain. The good news is that, while chronic stress can cause damage, the brain also has a remarkable ability to heal, but we need to give it a chance to recover. Here are some effective strategies to protect your brain. Practice relaxation techniques. Meditation, deep breathing, and mindfulness are powerful tools for reducing stress. They help calm the mind and restore balance to the nervous system. Exercise regularly. Exercise is one of the most effective ways to reduce cortisol levels in the body. Additionally, regular exercise promotes the production of endorphins, which help improve mood and reduce anxiety. Get enough sleep. Sleep is essential for brain recovery. During sleep, the body processes accumulated stress, and the brain recovers from the damage caused by cortisol. Set clear boundaries. Learning to say no is key to avoiding burnout. Setting personal boundaries at work and in personal relationships helps prevent the buildup of stress. Connect with others. Social support is one of the most powerful antidotes to stress. Talking with friends, family, or even a therapist can help ease the emotional and mental burden of stress. Take care of your diet. A balanced, nutrient-rich diet helps keep the brain functioning properly and can reduce the negative effects of stress.
The power of neuroplasticity.
One of the most fascinating things about the brain is its ability to change and adapt, a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. This means that even if chronic stress has caused damage, it's possible to reverse many of these effects through lifestyle changes. Practices like meditation and continuous learning can literally change the brain structure, strengthening the prefrontal cortex and improving our ability to cope with stress.
Taking care of the brain in a stressful world.
We live in a time where stress seems inevitable, but we don't have to be prisoners to it. Understanding how stress affects the brain is the first step to taking active measures to protect our mental and emotional health. Acute stress is part of life. It's what keeps us alert and ready to act in critical situations. But chronic stress doesn't have to be the protagonist of our story. By taking care of our mind and body, we can reduce the damage caused by stress and live a more balanced and healthy life. So take a deep breath, slow down, and remember that you have the power to protect your brain from the devastating impact of chronic stress. The first step begins now.